You know those moments when your mind feels like a maze you can't escape? When every tiny choice spirals into a web of what ifs and maybes, each one bringing a new wave of doubt? It's as though every decision you make could change everything, so you weigh every possible outcome over and over. And the more you think, the harder it becomes to make a choice, to take action, to feel any peace. What if I told you there's a reason for all of this? Something deeper at play that most people don't see? You might think of overthinking as just a harmless habit, a little quirk in your personality. But overthinking is rarely as innocent as it seems. It's like an iceberg. A small part of it floats above the surface, while the bulk of it, the part that really matters, lies hidden beneath. And under the surface, overthinking is quietly keeping you stuck, holding you back from the things you want most in life, from happiness, from progress, and from feeling genuinely at peace. We've all been there. Maybe it's a decision you're struggling with, or a moment from the past you keep revisiting. It could even be a situation that's yet to happen, and yet your mind replays every possible scenario in exhaustive detail. You might find yourself asking, did I say the right thing? Or what if I regret this choice? And each question only leads to another, building a cycle that feels impossible to escape. But why does this happen? Why do we get trapped in our own heads like this? At its core, overthinking is a way our minds try to create a sense of safety in an unpredictable world. We tell ourselves that if we can just think things through enough times, analyze every angle, and consider every outcome, then we'll avoid making a mistake. We'll be safe from disappointment, failure, or regret. But the harsh truth is that this need for absolute certainty is a trap. Life is filled with unknowns, with surprises, with moments we can't plan for or predict. No matter how much we think, how many scenarios we run through in our heads, we can't completely control what happens next. And that's the secret of overthinking. The more we try to prepare for every possible outcome, the more we keep ourselves from actually moving forward. Overthinking convinces us that we're being smart or cautious. We think, if I just give this more thought, I'll finally be ready. But that's rarely the case. Instead, overthinking leaves us paralyzed, stuck in a loop of indecision. And what we don't realize is that this very cycle, this endless need to overanalyze and second-guess ourselves, is costing us more than just time. It's costing us confidence, growth, and the chance to experience the life that's waiting for us. Imagine the opportunities that may have slipped by because you were busy overthinking, too afraid of what might go wrong. The relationships you hesitated to pursue, the ideas you never acted on, the moments you could have enjoyed if only you had been present. Overthinking convinces us that we're avoiding mistakes, but in reality, we're simply avoiding life itself. But here's the good news. Once you see overthinking for what it really is, a tool that's turned into a trap, you can start breaking free. You can learn to let go of the need for perfect certainty and start embracing the unknown. Life doesn't require us to have all the answers. It just asks us to be open to growth, to trust in our ability to handle what comes, and to give ourselves permission to step forward, even when things feel uncertain. So today, let's take that first step together. Let's unravel the cycle of overthinking, recognize it for what it truly is, and find a way to move beyond it. Because a life free from the grip of overthinking is a life filled with possibilities, with peace, and with the kind of happiness that only comes when you're fully present in the moment. Most people think of overthinking as just a pesky habit, something we indulge in when we're bored or anxious, something we can stop if we simply put our minds to it. But overthinking isn't just about having a lot of thoughts. It's rooted much deeper in our psychology and stems from a complex desire for control and certainty. It's a mental strategy our minds adopt to create a sense of safety in a world that often feels unpredictable and full of risks. Overthinking feels like a shield against the unknown, a way of making us feel like we're in control. But ironically, the very act of overthinking leaves us feeling anything but secure. When we overthink, it's usually driven by fear. The fear of making the wrong choice, of experiencing regret, or of facing consequences we can't foresee. We worry about worst-case scenarios and replay past mistakes, imagining every possible negative outcome as a way to prepare ourselves. But here's the dark truth that most people don't realize. This need for certainty isn't protecting us. It's actually doing the opposite. By trying to anticipate and avoid every potential mistake, we end up keeping ourselves trapped in a cycle of hesitation and self-doubt. Instead of moving forward, we stay stuck, unable to make even the smallest decisions without second-guessing ourselves. Think about it. Each time we get caught in a loop of overthinking, our brains convince us that we're gaining control over the situation. If I just think it through one more time, I'll be ready. But the reality is, this need for absolute certainty can never truly be fulfilled. Life is inherently uncertain. We cannot predict every outcome or control every situation. And by overthinking, we're not preventing problems from happening. We're simply keeping ourselves in a mental holding pattern, too afraid to move forward without guarantees that will never come. This cycle of overthinking creates what's known as a false sense of control. It's like trying to steer a ship without leaving the harbor because you're worried about the waves. Sure, you're safe from the unknown out on the open sea, but you're also denying yourself the experience of the journey, the growth, and the discovery that come from actually venturing forward. The constant analysis and worry only serve to drain our energy, keeping us from being present, creative, and open to new possibilities. We're so focused on avoiding risks that we don't realize we're also avoiding life itself. What's more, overthinking limits our happiness. It leaves us feeling paralyzed, unable to enjoy the present moment because our minds are too preoccupied with dissecting the past or preparing for the future. We become so invested in maintaining control that we miss out on experiences that could bring us joy, growth, and connection. Overthinking isolates us in our own minds, distancing us from others, and from the simple, spontaneous pleasures of life. The freedom we seek, the peace, the confidence, the ability to enjoy life fully, doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from accepting that we can never predict every outcome. True freedom lies in understanding that we don't have to. Life asks us to make choices, to embrace the unknown, and to trust that we're resilient enough to handle whatever comes our way. When we let go of the need for perfect control, we create space for authentic joy, growth, and fulfillment. Breaking free from the grip of overthinking requires us to confront this truth and make peace with it. Instead of seeking endless reassurance or replaying situations, we can learn to pause, take a deep breath, and allow ourselves to act without guarantees. It's uncomfortable at first, but with time, it becomes liberating. By recognizing that overthinking is a barrier, not a safety net, we begin to break down the walls it's built around us. We start to experience life as it's meant to be, imperfect, unpredictable, but full of opportunity, meaning, and happiness waiting to be discovered. The impact of overthinking goes much deeper than just feeling anxious or mentally exhausted. It has a sneaky way of becoming a roadblock between you and your dreams, a barrier that silently keeps you from living the life you truly want. Think about it. How many dreams or exciting opportunities have you let slip by because you were stuck in your head, analyzing every little detail, fearing every possible outcome? Overthinking is a thief, robbing you of chances that could lead to fulfillment, growth, and happiness. It's that job opportunity you hesitated on because you doubted if you were qualified enough. It's the relationship you didn't pursue because you were scared of rejection or failure. It's the creative project you abandoned before you even started because you couldn't stop imagining all the ways it might not turn out perfectly. When we overthink, we begin to question our own capabilities. Suddenly, every choice feels risky, and every decision feels like it needs to be absolutely perfect. We doubt ourselves, even when we know deep down that we have what it takes. Overthinking whispers to us that maybe we're not ready, not skilled enough, not deserving enough. It convinces us that we're being smart by holding back, that we're playing it safe by waiting until we have all the answers. But here's the hard truth. Life doesn't come with guarantees. Waiting for perfect certainty only keeps us in one place, paralyzed, watching others take chances and move forward while we remain on the sidelines. Overthinking traps us in a world of endless what-ifs and maybes, where the present moment, the only time we actually have, slips by unnoticed. Instead of embracing life with open arms, we live in a mental maze of hypothetical scenarios, each one layered with a new doubt or fear. We start to second-guess our dreams, questioning if they're even possible. And while we're lost in that maze, real opportunities are passing us by. Doors that were once open start to close, simply because we didn't have the courage to step through them. The dark power of overthinking lies in its ability to keep us small. It keeps us living in the shadows, afraid to step into the light and show the world what we're capable of. We hold ourselves back because we fear the possibility of failure, rejection, or discomfort. But what we don't realize is that by not trying, by not taking those risks, we're also closing ourselves off from success, connection, and growth. Overthinking convinces us that we're staying safe, but in reality, it's a false sense of safety. We're not avoiding pain, we're just postponing it. And as time goes on, the pain of missed chances and unfulfilled dreams becomes harder to ignore. When we're trapped in overthinking, we stop trusting ourselves and our intuition. We rely on endless mental loops to guide us, instead of listening to that inner voice urging us forward. And the longer we live this way, the more disconnected we feel from our true potential. We start to feel like strangers to our own lives, watching from a distance as our dreams drift further out of reach. Overthinking is a habit that thrives on fear, and it slowly convinces us that staying in our comfort zones is the smart choice. But deep down, we know that real fulfillment doesn't come from staying safe. It comes from stepping into the unknown, taking risks, and trusting ourselves to handle whatever comes next. If we want to break free, we have to challenge this habit of overthinking. We need to start acting on our dreams, even if we're scared or unsure. We have to remind ourselves that progress is better than perfection, and that a life fully lived is worth any risk we take along the way. The path forward is through action, not endless contemplation. By letting go of the need for certainty, we make room for growth, excitement, and the possibility of a life beyond anything we could ever imagine. If you're feeling weighed down by overthinking, you might be wondering if it's even possible to break free from something that seems so deeply ingrained in your mind. After all, overthinking often feels like a natural response to uncertainty, a safety net we hold onto in an attempt to make sure everything goes right. But the truth is, breaking free is absolutely possible. It begins by challenging the idea that we need absolute certainty before we can move forward. The world is filled with unknowns, and no amount of mental gymnastics will ever give us complete control over the outcomes in our lives. This understanding, that it's okay not to have everything figured out, is the first step toward freedom. One powerful approach to letting go of overthinking is to shift your mindset from perfection to progress. Overthinking often happens because we're fixated on making the perfect decision. We feel we must get everything right on the first try. But this need for perfection is precisely what keeps us stuck. Real growth comes from action, from moving forward even when we don't have all the answers. Instead of stressing over whether a decision is flawless, remind yourself that any decision, as long as it aligns with your goals, is a step forward. Progress is what builds momentum, not perfection. You don't have to know the entire path to take the first step. Trust that each step will lead to the next, opening up new possibilities and revealing insights you couldn't have seen from the starting point. And don't be afraid of making mistakes along the way. Missteps aren't failures. They're opportunities for growth. When we allow ourselves to make mistakes, we give ourselves permission to learn, adapt, and improve. Remember, every successful person has made countless mistakes, yet they continued moving forward, learning from their experiences, and evolving along the way. Progress is messy, but in that mess lies the key to breaking free from the trap of overthinking. Each small step forward is a victory over fear and self-doubt. Another effective strategy to combat overthinking is practicing mindfulness. Overthinking often happens because we let our minds wander off into the realm of hypothetical scenarios and what-ifs. When we become mindful, we bring our awareness back to the present moment, grounding ourselves in what's real and within reach right now. Next time you feel your mind spiraling, pause and ask yourself, what's actually within my control at this moment? When you bring your focus to what you can do in the here and now, overthinking loses its grip. You realize that while you can't control the future or the past, you can make a meaningful impact in the present. Mindfulness also involves being gentle with yourself. Overthinking is often fueled by a harsh inner critic that demands certainty, criticizes every flaw, and constantly predicts failure. But when you practice mindfulness, you learn to quiet this inner critic, treating yourself with compassion instead of criticism. You learn to observe your thoughts without judgment, acknowledging them without letting them dictate your reality. By centering yourself in the present and accepting things as they are, you start to recognize that much of your worry is just noise. You begin to see that beneath all the anxious thoughts, there's a calm, steady part of you that knows how to handle challenges without needing to overanalyze every detail. Breaking free from overthinking is about small, intentional shifts in how you approach decisions, setbacks, and the present moment. As you embrace progress over perfection and ground yourself in mindfulness, you start to feel lighter, more in control, and more willing to take chances. Each time you choose to act rather than ruminate, you're training your mind to move from a place of fear to a place of possibility. And with time, that freedom becomes your new habit, a way of moving through life with greater courage and clarity. So give yourself the permission to take those imperfect steps, to embrace the messiness of progress, and to trust that even in uncertainty, you have everything you need to succeed. Overthinking often masquerades as a protective mechanism, leading us to believe that by analyzing every possible outcome, we can prevent mistakes and make better decisions. But in reality, this excessive rumination is a double-edged sword. It doesn't just cloud our judgment, it shackles us, preventing us from experiencing life in its fullness. Each moment spent in the throes of overthinking is a moment lost to self-doubt and anxiety, draining our energy and keeping us from seizing opportunities. When we cling to the illusion of control that overthinking provides, we inadvertently stifle our own potential for growth and happiness. Challenging the need for control begins with acknowledging that uncertainty is an inherent part of life. No matter how much we might wish for guarantees, the truth is that nothing is set in stone. Embracing uncertainty can feel daunting, yet it's essential for freeing ourselves from the chains of overthinking. By accepting that we can't predict every twist and turn life may take, we open ourselves to new possibilities and experiences. Trusting in our ability to adapt to whatever challenges arise is a powerful shift that allows us to reclaim our freedom. It means recognizing that we have the resilience and resourcefulness to navigate life's uncertainties, even when they catch us off guard. When you find yourself overthinking, remind yourself that you don't need to have every detail figured out to take action. All you really need is the courage to take that first step. This act of courage is not about being reckless or throwing caution to the wind. Rather, it's about giving yourself permission to engage with life as it unfolds. By taking that step, you affirm your ability to handle whatever comes next, and you cultivate a sense of confidence that grows with each experience. Each small decision you make, despite your fears, reinforces the notion that you are capable and that you can navigate through uncertainty with grace. Letting go of overthinking also means recognizing that mistakes are not the end of the world. They are simply part of the learning process. Every misstep carries valuable lessons that contribute to our growth. The more we resist the urge to overanalyze every decision, the more we can focus on the richness of our experiences. This shift allows us to engage with life in a more authentic and fulfilling way. It's about stepping into the present moment, appreciating the journey, and trusting that, regardless of the outcome, you will emerge from each situation stronger and wiser. If this resonates with you, I invite you to reflect on your own relationship with overthinking. When you find yourself caught in that cycle, pause for a moment and breathe. Ground yourself in the present and remind yourself of the courage that lies within you. Each time you choose to let go of that mental clutter and take action, you not only liberate yourself from the constraints of overthinking, but also invite joy and spontaneity back into your life. As you navigate this journey, remember that it's not about seeking certainty or perfection. It's about embracing the beautiful messiness of life. Each moment you allow yourself to step beyond the need for certainty is a moment where you invite possibility, adventure, and growth. So let the unknown excite you rather than intimidate you. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Authentic Self-Love Audiobooks for more insights on living a balanced and fulfilled life, and share this message with anyone who might need that gentle reminder to release the grip of overthinking. Thank you for watching, and always remember, the best things in life unfold when you give yourself the freedom to explore beyond the confines of certainty.